Well, welcome all, indeed, to this, the RetroTech 120p challenge, your weekly adventure into my mind as I play terrible games. Now, this one is Super Space Invaders 91, which was otherwise known as the Majestic 12, the Space Invaders Part 4, which I'm sure you'll agree is a much more catchy and easy to slip off the tongue name. Yes, so RetroTech 120p challenge rules are this: have as many goes as you want, but as soon as you press record, 2 credits, then piss off. I've decided to have no practice runs. Bit pushed for time over these last couple of weeks because of personal issues, so I'm just going to be not practicing as much, depending on what happens in my world. I won't go into it. It's not very interesting to people from the outside world. So yes, this came out, I think, courtesy of Domark on all the 8-bit computers. So your Commodore 64, your Spectrum and your Amstrad. Of course, there is many more than that, but all the ones that were current at that time were still going in 1991. It also came out on the Amiga and the Atari ST, and they also put a version out on the Master System and Game Gear as well. So it was a well-travelled game, this. I really like it. It's very good. It's a good update. As you can see, it's very different from Space Invaders while being the same as Space Invaders. The ships obviously move a lot more erratically depending on the level. There's more that your ship can do. It's even got a shield, so you get like a couple of hits before you get blown up, and you can get like power-ups and stuff if you blow up the UFOs at the top. So yeah, pretty good game all in all. Not very good at it, but you know, these things are what they are. But yeah, now, genital facts, because we do have to come to them. It was suggested by Anthony that I do cows, but I think I've already done them in Cowboys and Moon Mesa, so I can't do them. And Christian, who chose this week's game, has said that I could do anal probes. Now, that was a fascinating idea, but as like 98% of arcade games we're probably going to cover are all going to be about spaceships, I could do that anytime, but because the title of this specifically mentions the year 1991, I'm going to do sex facts about the 1990s. Well, I say sex facts about the 1990s. I'm going to tell you who the sexiest men and women were from 1990 until 1999. So, shall we go through the list? Now, these are courtesy of People Magazine for the men up until 99, and then for the women it's up to 95, where FHM is going to take over the list because basically the list for women is actually more of the most beautiful person, and it switches between men and women. So they have their sexiest man award, and it's slightly different, and then they have like the most beautiful person, and so you get men appear in about 96. So yes, so bear with me. So mostly People Magazine, as I say, and I'll tell you when the changeover is happening. So the sexiest man of 1990 was Tom Cruise. The sexiest woman of 1990 was Michelle Pfeiffer. The sexiest man of 1991 was Patrick Swayze, and the sexiest woman was Julia Roberts. You can tell with these already. It's based on like when their films come out. So Batman Returns, Pretty Woman, Patrick Swayze, probably like, I don't know, Ghost, I'm guessing. Tom Cruise, Rain Man, maybe. So 92 is Nick Nolte. That's a weird one. And Jodie Foster. Again, I wouldn't say she's classically beautiful, but that would have been around the time of Silence of the Lambs, I'm guessing. 93, they went for a couple, and there was a couple at the time, which was Richard Gere and Cindy Crawford. Cattle mutilation, by the way. Great. So yeah, Richard Gere and Cindy Crawford. Long since split up, of course. 94 was Meg Ryan and Keanu Reeves. And then 95 was Brad Pitt and Courtney Cox. Of course, Friends Mania really kicking off at that point. And Brad Pitt ended up in Friends at one point, didn't he? But I would imagine his places that either Thelma and Louise or Interview with a Vampire, something like that. So let's continue with the men for People Magazine. So Denzel Washington was 96. Then George Clooney, it was at the peak of his fame then. Harrison Ford, getting on a bit at that point, still going. And then Richard Gere again, saying, I ain't done with that award yet. And then, so we're switching to FHM now for the women. So 96 was Gillian Anderson, pretty obvious why she's there. Terry Hatcher for 97, which would have been that James Bond film, I think. First credit down. The second one doesn't last that long. 98 was Jenny McCarthy. Now that is someone very of their time, isn't it? Even more so than Terry Hatcher. Like, what's Jenny McCarthy? Like, what happened to her? Did she die or something? I'll check that out and put a little message on the thing and apologise profusely to Melissa McCarthy and all of her family if she did. I think she did, you know, now. And then 1999 was Sarah Michelle Gellar. Can't think why she got that then. Hey, Buffy. So yeah, and another additional 90s sex fact that I have is that 40% of all internet traffic in the 1990s was related to porn, which is way higher than the 13 to 20% it is today. Now that is of course because the internet was almost exclusively used in the 90s by sad lonely bastards like me. Yeah. So yeah, good. Hope that has filled a nostalgic bubble for you. Unfortunately we didn't get deep cuts like Danny Bear though. Who didn't fancy Danny Bear, eh? Or how about like a Sarah Cox? No, it was very much particularly obviously the People magazine, a very American centric list, and people not being overly lusty, which is why Kelly Brook didn't get looking, I'm guessing, or Pamela Anderson. Actually, surprisingly, wasn't in that list, was she? But yeah, that's the end of my go. So stuff coming up on the channel. There's a bit. I think I've got the Kinder Egg game this week, but I've also got videos on the new Addams Family and Prince Valiant coming up as well. So stay tuned for them. Halloween episode is finished. Apart from the acty bits, but they'll be coming soon. But please go and have a look at the other videos. Do join in yourself because we do need new blood, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me on my nostalgic 90s trip of sexy people. Okay, thanks, bye.